Good morning, everybody. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
It's one of my favorite parts of the week, getting with you guys on Saturday. It's good to see your smiling faces up here gathering with a whole bunch of multi-millionaires. It's great to see you guys. Go ahead and say your name, where you're chiming in from.
Gary from Jersey.
Gary.
Newark, New Jersey.
Good morning. Good morning.
Arizona, Clifton, Colorado.
Hey, everybody, this is
Atlanta, Georgia.
Darren Cotton, Cleveland, Ohio.
Let's go.
Canada.
Must not have watched Cowboys today.
Welcome.
Yeah, poor baby.
Hey, Susie from the UK. Fantastic.
Queens, New York.
Queens, New York. Virginia in the building. Welcome.
Motor City in the house.
Motor City.
Detroit.
Welcome. Good to see you.
Toledo, Ohio. Peace, everybody.
Toledo, Ohio.
Fantastic.
Washington State.
I love it.
Southern California.
Southern California.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
Chicago.
Chicago, Chi-Town. Love it. Hey, you guys do me a favor.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hey, Shahid, welcome. Put out those last-minute text messages if you guys don't mind. Get as many of the members in here as possible. Got some very, very exciting stuff I want to cover with you guys today. Like I said, it's always good to see you guys. Go ahead and give another 10 seconds. Anybody else want to chime in before we get started?
Marty from Houston, Texas.
Welcome from Houston. Love
Bahira, Georgia.
Bahira, welcome.
Bridget from Southern Cal. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Bridget. Hey, Sananda. I see you.
Sydney, Nova Scotia, Canada.
Welcome.
Nova Scotia.
I love it. Okay. Let's go and get this thing started, you guys.
Okay, just do a quick reminders, turn on cameras here, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Make sure cameras are on. We don't want to have any challenges for people, okay? Maintain the integrity of the call. Well said, Terry.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
All right, you all set?
Right. Hey, man, I really appreciate all that you guys do, especially you, Terry, and all the leaders. Well, once again, you guys, good morning, good afternoon. Good evening, depending on where you're chiming in from. Just in case we haven't met, for some of the new members, my name is Greg, and it's an absolute honor to be talking to you guys this afternoon. I'm here in the Midwestern part of the country, Toledo, Ohio. And what we do every Saturday, we have what we call a locker room, and we come together as a global community, and we talk about a lot of different things, leadership development. We talk about increasing our financial literacy. To me, the most important thing, too, is also talking about how our project fits in the global scheme of everything that's going on in the world. I mean, we got some cutting edge stuff that we're doing here. I like to say we're the tip of the spear. And we realize that a lot of you that are new to our environment, you've been involved in the people-to-people space, whether it's network marketing, affiliate marketing, high ticket sales, percent daily, a lot of different things. And some of you may have had your fair share of successes and maybe some failures. We like to say this is your one-stop shop here, being a part of the Smarter Than Money global community. We know exactly what it is that we're doing, and we're here to help you become smarter than money and start generating unavoidable residual cash flow, which is something that's very, very elusive for a lot of people, okay? And so sometimes we say some things that may rub you the wrong way, and I say this every week because I want to make sure that any of our newest members understand that we're passionate about what it is that we're doing. And we may say some things that rub you the wrong way. Charge it to our head and not our hearts when that happens, okay? Because we're not here to offend anyone. We just want to see you successful. And you guys that are new, you see how the community is. We love each other. We trust each other, and we're moving in a direction and doing something that's never been done before in the people-to-people space. So we're pioneering something, okay? So having said that, we're going to really dive into something today, and we're going to kind of piggyback off of what we talked about last week, but we're going to move in a little bit of a different direction when we're talking about even Social Security and things of that nature. It's amazing to me how money controls so much of what we do in our lives, and we're not taught about it in our schools and institutions, and yet people sign up for different businesses and programs with no understanding of money, and then they wonder why they get associated with rug pulls and things that don't last long term, okay? And so what we want to do today is help you understand something even around investing. And the reason why I want to talk about this today is because I get approached a lot about different opportunities. Greg, you got to see this one here. You've never seen this one here. This is so different relative to different programs that deal with investing and things of that nature. And I want you guys to really understand that anytime someone brings something to me about investing, because I understand the mechanics of it and they don't, it's really hard for me. I don't like to be a dream stealer, but people are looking for something for nothing. They're looking to put their money into something and just hope and pray that mana is going to drop from the sky and they're going to be flat out successful. Ladies and gentlemen, that does not exist. And what I want to do today is to help a lot of you to not get caught up in a lot of investing programs and projects. And I want to share this with you. And I'm not knocking anybody's hustle. I just want you to understand that if you do those things, then you're sitting at the poker table and you're learning how to become a poker player at the end of the day. If that's what you want to do, great. I don't have any problem with that. But I want you to understand what you're getting involved in, okay, so that you're not spinning your wheels, so to speak. So what I want to do is I want to share something with you guys. I'm going to share my screen here, and I want to pull something up. But before I do that, let me ask a question here. What do you guys, when it comes to investing, there's people that got 401ks, they got mutual funds, maybe they're doing some investment deals online, things of that nature. I want to ask you guys, where do you guys think your dividends or your money comes from in the investing arena? Does anybody have any idea of how that works before I dive into this? Anyone? Okay, go with Gary here.
Oh,
Good morning. Good morning. It comes from other investors.
Fantastic. Great. That's the answer right there. I don't have to go any further. See, a lot of people don't even realize, and this is why I hate that P word, pyramid, Ponzi, and it'd be the main ones that are investing every paycheck into the 401k and into the stock market, and they don't even realize they are participating in the ultimate Ponzi scheme in the world. And I'm going to help you guys understand that, not just intellectually, I'm going to prove it to you guys. And this is very, very important because what we got our hands on, it's the real deal Holyfield. We got control over developing cash flow, right? Because there's only three primary needs that everyone has around money. Three primary needs. Number one, they need money to pay for something. Please write that down. I'm going to break this thing down for you to pay for something, right? The second thing, they need to borrow money to fund something, whether it's a home, a mortgage, an education, whatever the case may be. And then third, they want to grow their money. And that's typically through investments. Make sense? So those are the three primary needs that people have around money. Now I'm going to talk about the investment aspect of it. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick. Okay. And I want to do this, move this out the way. Go here. All right. Now, I went over this before, and I've shared this in the Facebook group, but I know a lot of times people don't really dive deep into it. So I want you guys to really stay with me here. And you guys see, I'm gonna read to you, but I want you guys to follow along. I want you for a moment to ignore everything that you know about stocks, as you guys see here, and the investment system and everything that took place over the past 400 years. And I want all of us to imagine ourselves in the early 1600s at a time when no one knew what stocks were, but they were about to be introduced to this new investment instrument. So you're going to hear two proposals, and I want you to think about how you would have been in the 1600s or as an early investor and how you would have reacted to the introduction to stocks. Okay, everybody with me on that, right? So here's proposal number one. Let's keep it there. Proposal number one. A business owner approaches you and says, I'm selling shares of my company. If you invest in my business, you'll receive a note. Keep that in mind, a note that says you own a piece of the company And if the business makes money, you'll receive a share of the profits. Not a bad deal. Okay, that's proposal number one. Proposal number two. If a business owner says to you and a group of investors back in the 1600s, you know nothing about this, and says, hey, I'm selling shares of my company. When you invest, you'll receive a note that says you own a piece of the company. However, you won't receive any money from the business, and the company is not obligated to pay you anything ever, but you can make money by selling the note to other people. You might get lucky and get more than you paid. Question, team. Which proposal would you go with? One or two?
One.
One, right? Now, here's the reality. One of the biggest myths about stocks is the idea that profits from stocks come from the earnings and growth of the underlying company. The assumption is when a company makes money, they share the profits with their investors. But in practice, most public companies never pay dividends. And when they make money, which can be millions or even billions, they keep everything. The simple truth is profits from stocks come from other investors who are buying and selling stocks. Like Gary said, when an investor buys a stock for $10 and sells it for $11, the $11 comes from another investor, someone who will then start hunting for yet another investor who will give him or her $12 and so on. This is actually a negative sum game. So it's not even a zero sum game. When you hear zero sum, team, anytime you hear anyone say that, because I was confused about that years ago when I first heard, what's zero sum? That means that in order for there to be winners, there must be losers, right? But this is even worse. It's a negative sum situation because the underlying company isn't involved in the transaction. The investors are just cannibalizing each other for profits, and there are fees attached to every transaction. So what I want you guys to understand, that's the problem in the people-to-people space. We are cannibalizing each other with these rug pull deals. We got to stop doing that, right? Because we don't even and a lot of us, some people, leaders aren't doing it on purpose. They just don't understand, right? And then the fees are attached to every transaction. That's why when you talk to financial advisors, they're going to have a fancy word, right? I'm a financial advisor. The new terminology is going to be a wealth manager, right? And every time I sit down with a financial advisor, I give them a shot. All right. I've done this many times. I've stopped doing it because the story's a story. I said, well, great. You give me the spiel about mutual funds and investing and having long-term thinking, deferring all the way till I'm 65, 70, right? I said, well, let me see how your investments are performing. Since you're an advisor, you're a wealth manager, it's obviously that you're living based on what you're sharing with me. Do you guys realize that 100% of them cannot show me that? Because they're not making their money as a financial advisor or a wealth manager from the investments. They make their money from the transaction fees, managing the accounts. They're nothing more than glorified salespeople that know nothing about how money really works. So it's one thing if everyone acknowledges this negative sum gambling scenario and people just want to gamble. That's one thing. Like I said, if you want to be a poker player, great, have at it. But the stock market is sold as a positive sum investment system, and investors believe the system produces more money than they contribute. This is why most of the money that goes into the stock market comes from pension plans and retirement funds, right? I got a 401k, right? Just funneling and feeding the machine. And why 18-year-old kids are allowed to open up online trading accounts, i.e. Robinhood, things of that nature. Okay? I'm almost done here. So let's go back here. So investors buy stock because they want to make money, right? So people get involved in percent dailies and investing, and it's the same thing in the crypto because the centralized authorities have circled their wagons and now they're treating cryptocurrency the same way they do with the stock market. So they all get involved because they want to make money. And their only objective is to get more cash out of the system than they put in. Investment finance is different from other businesses because everyone involved, from the bankers to the analysts, to the advisors, to the investors and the companies that need investments, all want one thing and one thing only, and that's cash, right? This is not the case when you look at a normal business like a restaurant. So if you look at a restaurant that sells food, wants cash, but the people who give the restaurant cash are end users who want food in return, not more cash. So this simple essential fact is why the logic of investing is incredibly illogical. So when it comes to stock transactions, the person selling stock wants cash, but so does the person who is buying the stock. There are no end users. Everyone involved wants more money back than they contribute, and no one pays attention to where the money is coming from. It's probably because no one wants to know where the money is really coming from. The problem is the money investors take out of the system is coming from other investors who are putting money into the system, and the stock market is just a system that shuffles cash between investors. It is a system where current investors' profits are strictly dependent on the inflow from new investors, and such a system is also known as a Ponzi scheme. Now, I'm going to share this last thing, and then I'm going to play a short video. Many of you have heard of Tesla, so that I want to help you make sense of it, and I'm reading this and showing you guys this before you see the video, because when I show you guys the video based on this, you're going to see it more clearly. So this chart below, you don't have to worry about the chart, is from Tesla Motors from 2010 to 2018, so 8 years. And it shows that their stock shot up from $20 a share to over $380 a share during this 9-year period, right? So $20 a share, and during that period, it shot up to $380 a share. So the question is, how much money do you think Tesla made during this time? If that happened, it must have been booming. So no need to think of an exact number, but do you think they made a lot of money or a little? Tesla, right? The answer, Tesla lost $6.1 billion during that time period. Tesla didn't make any profit. They didn't break even. They lost $6.1 billion during this period. Now, this is interesting because the early investors who bought into the company in 2010 could have made a lot of money while the company they owned supposedly bled out $6.1 billion. But how can that logically happen? How is it possible for investors to walk away cash rich, for those that came in early, with money in their hands when the company they invested in never made any money? So in a legitimate investment scenario, that can never happen, right? Investors should only be able to make money when the company they invest in makes money. However, a situation like this can occur if the early investors' profits are dependent on cash from new investors rather than the performance of the underlying company. So I wanted to share that with you, and I'm going to go here real quickly, and you guys will be able to download, okay, this PDF, and I suggest that you guys read it, and I'll let you guys know where that's at in a moment. But now I'm going to play this video for you, just a little bit of it. And I want you guys to now really listen. Now that you have that information, then you guys understand that why investing, everyone's an investor and a trader now, we're cannibalizing each other. When we have an opportunity, which is an investment of labor that I'm going to break down again here in just a moment, that everyone can win and control. See, investing isn't risky, but what is risky is not being in control. So let me go ahead and play this for you guys real quick, okay?
When we think about the stock market, we think about money, the finance industry, businesses, and making money from investing in successful businesses. The belief is investing in successful businesses is what leads to investment profits. And there's a direct connection between the success of the underlying company and the profits investors experience. This is a reasonable idea, which is why it's in textbooks and recited by finance professionals who sell stocks and stock-related services. However, this is not how stocks actually work. Most finance professionals have no idea where profits from stocks come from. They just assume it gets magically generated from the complexities of the market. The myth is, profits from stocks are generated from the earnings and growth of the underlying companies. And when a company makes money, they share the profits with their investors. But in practice, most public companies never pay dividends on their stocks. And when they make money, which can be millions or even billions, they keep everything. The reality is, profits from stocks come from other investors who are buying and selling stocks. When an investor buys a stock for $10 and sells it for $11, that $11 comes from another investor, someone who will then start hunting for yet another investor who will give him $12, and so on. This is technically a negative-sum scenario for investors because they are contributing all the money, and there are fees attached to every transaction. The company that issued the stock isn't involved in these transactions, so whether the business is making or losing money is irrelevant. This is why companies like Tesla Motors, who has lost billions since they became a public company, can still have stocks that appreciate in value. But in a situation where investors' profits are strictly dependent on money from other investors, investors can make or lose money regardless of whether the company they invested in is making or losing money. In reality, the stock market is a massive system that shuffles money between investors. It is a system where current investors' profits are directly dependent on the inflow of money from new investors. And such a system is also known as a Ponzi scheme. But what most people don't realize is that a Ponzi scheme can also produce a lot of winners. It's not a scam where everyone loses money, even with the presence of middlemen and fees. A lot of investors who are involved and unaware of the scam can make money too. The fraudulent aspect of a Ponzi scheme is not its inability to produce a few winners. The issue is in the mechanics and where that money comes from, and how investors who make money are taking it from other investors who also want to make money. But if the stock market is a giant Ponzi scheme, and it's as obvious as tracing the cash flow of a typical stock transaction, then why is it legal? If stocks are Ponzi assets, why are finance professionals allowed to sell them to investors? And why are there so many university classes and textbooks on stock analysis, but not one of them mentions the existence of this Ponzi factor? Finance professionals do not see the stock market as a Ponzi scheme because they believe in several fallacies. These are ideas that people assume are true because they heard it from someone else. But the credibility for these ideas come from repetition, tradition, and people who recite it, rather than proof, logic, or facts. The first fallacy and the most fundamental falsehood that leads to other false ideas is the notion that stocks are equity instruments that represent ownership in a company, and the value of the stock is connected to the value of the company. This idea is false because the values of stocks have no legitimacy. A real estate transaction has legitimacy because the value of the property is backed by the intrinsic physical value of the property itself. The value of a bond is also legitimate because there is a defined entity that is responsible for repaying the face value. But stocks have no legitimacy because no one has any obligations to repay the shareholders anything. A share of Google might trade for $900, but Google explicitly states in writing that the share has no voting rights. They don't share business profits with their investors, and Google is only obligated to pay the shareholder the par value of 0.001 cent for that $900 share. Finance professionals confuse stocks with ownership instruments because they ignore history. Before the 1900s, stocks paid dividends. So at one point, stocks were legitimate ownership instruments because there was a profit-sharing agreement between the shareholders and the companies they owned. That's how stocks used to work. And that is how stocks are supposed to work. But that is not how stocks work now. The second fallacy, which is a product of the first fallacy, is the idea that the asset value of a stock is the same thing as cash. When people see a share of Google that is trading at $900, they will just assume that is $900 in real money. But the value of a stock is just an idea. It is just a thought, something completely imaginary, which is why the price can rise and fall sharply at any given moment. On the other hand, money is an instrument for trade that is designed to serve as a medium of exchange for goods and services. It is in both physical and electronic form, and for the most part, it is finite and traceable. It is legal tender that is issued and backed by the government, and it is what investors ultimately care about. Investors do not buy stocks for the sake of having stocks. They buy stocks because they want more money. As of September 2017, the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ had a combined value of over $30 trillion. However, there is only $1.6 trillion of real money in circulation in the entire U.S. economy. The investors who are holding $30 trillion in stocks will never receive the $30 trillion in real money they feel entitled to, because that amount of money simply does not exist. The third fallacy is the assumption that the stock market is positive sum for investors, and the system produces more wins than losses. This is why finance firms can label their products and services as investing rather than gambling, and why 18-year-old kids can open online trading accounts. However, the positive sum assumption has never been proven. To show if the stock market is positive sum, all we have to do is add up all the money investors have won and lost over the years and see if that adds up to something positive. The problem is, no one knows how much money people have lost. There is no database that tracks investor losses, and no one knows how much investors have been winning or losing over the years. The reason why people think the stock market is positive sum is that they believe in the second fallacy and think people must have made money because the stock market has grown to $30 trillion. But a real positive sum situation needs to consider the wins and losses of all the investors that are involved, which includes the last investors holding $30 trillion of imaginary money that doesn't exist. The idea that the stock market is a giant Ponzi scheme isn't new. As repulsive as this idea is to finance professionals, it's not an idea they can properly deny or refute. They cannot explain how investors can make money without taking it from other investors, or shed any light on how much money the investment finance industry has lost for investors over the years. The typical way finance professionals defend the Ponzi factor accusation is by bringing up hypothetical scenarios, such as what a company can or might do in the future. They'll say things like, Google can start paying dividends, or Tesla might start making money. Hypothetically speaking, anything can happen. The world of the hypothetical is only limited by our imagination. The problem is, those events are unforeseeable and don't happen in practice. But on the other hand, the Ponzi scenario where investors are feeding off each other while the companies they own hoard profits, this is not a hypothetical situation. It is what is happening in practice. This is a very real scenario, something we can observe every single day.
All right. Is that I want to talk to you guys now that you guys have that practical understanding, and I want to encourage you at your own time. Go to smartermoney.com/STM, download the PDF. It's important that the reason why I started off reading it to you first, because if you just go to the video, you're going to be passive, right? But if you read it, that allows you to engage with the information yourself. So then when you go to the video, now it makes more sense to you. That's why I'm not the biggest believer in audiobooks. because you don't have to be present when you're listening and you're driving and all that kind of stuff. You see these books back here? I love touching. I love feeling. I love engaging. So engage with it, then watch the video, and it's going to make perfect sense to you. So, but having said that, team, now I want to talk to you guys about the intangible aspect, that's required for you to be successful in anything that you want to be successful in. And I'm not on my soapbox here. I'm just sharing with you guys from my head and heart to yours. You have to be intentional, right? It's not going to happen just accidentally. You have to be very, very intentional about what it is that you're doing. And I'm going to share this with you guys. I've done it before, but I think it's important to do it again because I don't want you guys to miss this. And I'm going to move, and where's this at here? I'm going to get this out of the way. There it is. And I want to go with this with you guys here again, because it's very, very important, because a lot of folks, they come and they get the training aspect of it, but it's not the training that matters. I want to talk to you guys about this once again, and that is what I call the pyramid of success. And you have to be intentional here, okay, in order to make your business grow. So many of you, and I don't know if I see, there's some people that I've seen here over the last couple of weeks, but then I see them dropping off, and it's because of what I'm getting ready to share with you guys here real quickly. And I want you guys to understand that emotions destroy wealth, but strategies build wealth. A lot of your business is going to be destroyed if you don't increase your emotional IQ. And what I mean by that, at the foundation, IC stands for your internal communication. It's how you talk to yourself. This is where the controllables are, you guys. This is where you have to take control of your spirit person in what you desire to have manifested in your life, okay? EC is external communication. That's the good opinions of other people. And when I hear people talk about, NFL, my friends don't see it and all that, and they say it with so much emotion, you are literally breathing life. It's the kiss of death in destroying your potential wealth. You got to get centered and understand they just don't know what they don't know. And if you're externally motivated, then you're going to destroy the wealth that's waiting on you. All right? Because you don't have to pursue making money. I'm telling you guys that you will literally attract it. There's a lot out there that talks about the law of attraction, and people really don't know how it works. They really don't. It works from your internal communication. Because when you're operating with a positive, clear, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, and understanding of what it is that you have and who you are and who you be, then you're going to become like a magnet that's going to attract the people, places, and things into your life. I'm telling you what I know, okay? It's almost like an aura that you'll be able to develop. People they don't know how to explain it, but they will definitely be attracted to you, all right? And then TK stands for technical know-how. People put so much emphasis on technical know-how. Well, Greg, what do you say to a person here? What do you do? When do you say here? All of these, what do you do here? That's technical knowledge, as though people are looking for a silver bullet that works for 100% of human beings when we're very, very complex. So it's going to be your internal communication that makes all the difference in the world, team. And once again, if you haven't written that down, please write it down. Emotions destroy wealth. Strategy builds it. So I'm giving you guys this strategy here on how to maintain and understand your base. Be rooted in having a high emotional EQ. I deal with the same things that you guys deal with. Trust me when I tell you, okay? The winds of life blow on us all, but it's the setting of our sail. So make sure that when you understand, as being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, you don't get paid for just clocking in and showing up. You're going to have thick skin, but you're going to have to be able to calibrate your emotional quotient. Stop allowing people to paint your world tiny. Take that paintbrush back, and you have a clear vision of where you want to go with your business. And I promise you, if you do that, you're going to attract other people that have a high EQ, because they want to be around other people that are positive, moving in the same direction, not complaining, don't have a welfare mentality, want something for nothing, looking for the next magic trick. As you guys are now starting to realize, there is no magic trick out there. The only people that are being tricked are people that don't know how money really works. That's why we're bringing this to the table. So this is critically important here. So I'm not going to tell you guys what to do, but hopefully you got a prayer life, a meditation, you're working out, you're eating properly, all the things that you can control, get good at that. And I promise you it's going to translate in terms of how you do business moving forward. Okay. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and the last thing that I'm going to do, hopefully I can get to it here. Let me see if I can get to it. No, I can't get to it. I was going to read something to you guys that I shared many years ago, and it's called Push. I don't know if you guys have seen it before. And it's something that, I'll just give you guys a quick synopsis, and this deals with your emotional quotient. And basically was talking about this gentleman that he was asleep at night and got awakened at night, and the Lord came in. It was just bright light came in and told him that he had work for him to do. And so the Lord asked him to go out there in his front yard and push against this large, massive rock that was in his front yard. So he did it from sun up to sundown, day in and day out. And as time went on, okay, the adversary entered his weary mind, Satan, if you will. It says, you've been pushing on this massive rock for weeks and months now, and you haven't moved it one iota, not even a millimeter. Why are you wasting your time? Just go ahead and give mediocre effort and, call it a day. So the gentleman, he took his weary mind to the Lord and said, Lord, why have you forsaken me? I've done what you asked me to do. You told me to push on this, massive rock, and I've been doing it, and I haven't been able to move it 1 millimeter. And the Lord says, listen, when I ask you to push on that rock and you come to me just drained of energy and you think you failed, but have you really failed? Look at you. Your back is stronger. Your legs have become massive, right? And you did what I asked you to do. When I asked you to go and push on that rock, not once did I ask you to move the rock. Make sense? It's my job to move the rock. I move mountains. So what I'm sharing with you guys, this has nothing to do with being woo-woo. I'm telling you guys that control the controllables. Some of you are experiencing, where I'm talking to people and all that kind of stuff, but you want to push, peak until something happens. That's what you want to do. That's your job. And I promise you, the Creator will reveal to you and bring to you the people, places, and things, and you will step into your wealth and your destiny. That is how it works. That's the magic. That's the real magic. Everything else is woo-woo. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and that's what I have for you guys today. But it's time to get really, really strong in our emotional quotient. It's time to talk to people. It's time for you to really learn what you need to learn. Stop watching TV, time-wasting stuff, the news, and distraction factors. All right? That's diabetes for your brain. Do the things that feed your spirit and keep you moving, if that makes sense. And I promise you guys this, we're working on some stuff behind the scenes. I keep saying that, you guys. It'll be revealed to you guys soon. Trust me when I tell you. But we're working on something behind the scenes because we're destined to see each and every one of you, not just at the top, but over the top as well.